Hey, my name is Joe, and this is my Craps Master journey. Let's make it yours too. I'm going to call this one Twin Towers Hybrid Heist 2.5, basically because yesterday was a complete mess up. The first time I recorded a video, I did a live stream and the video, the audio was not working very well. The second time that I recorded, the audio worked really good, but I messed the strategy up a little bit. Again, this is based off a subscriber strategy that a gentleman from Florida, his name is Ken, designed, and wanted me to roll it out. And and that was called the Twin Towers Power Heist. And then I made my changes, but I didn't put all the changes in the video from yesterday. So we're going to roll it out again. Or actually, we're not going to roll it out. I'm actually going to use the same rolls as what we had yesterday. And we're just going to play the money out. We started off with $430 yesterday. We ended up with $238. And I'm going to do it actually the way I designed the strategy and adapted it to my style of play. And we'll see if the total amount at the end actually is different than what it was yesterday's. So we're going to start off with, I have them on the screen there, guys. Shooter number one, it was actually 5 rolls. And during the come out, we had a point of 4. We also had a $25 don't pass for the come out. Once the 4 is set, we're going to put $10 on that 5, $18 on the 6, $18 on the 8, $10 on the 9. And then with a point of 4, we had $50 in odds. And then also we're going to do a $25 come bet. And that's what I didn't do yesterday, is the come bet on the strategy. So we rolled the dice again. The next one was an 8. So the come bet's going to travel to the 8. This 8 here is going to get paid out $21. And what we're going to do with that is we are going to put $36 in odds on there. So let's change this in here for a quarter. So we got 35, 36. And what that would do is that would allow us to rack $3 from that roll. So that was roll number 2. Roll number 3, what we're going to do is we're going to do another come bet. And what that'll do is that'll be our second one that we're going to put out. Moving on, we had roll number, the next roll, which was a 9. So that 9, the come bet would have traveled up to there. And we had, it pays out $14. And what we do is we take that down now. And we'll put that in the rack. Okay, again, our goal of this strategy is to collect between $75 to $80 in here. And once we achieve that on that shooter, we would take down the don't pass odds. Okay, the next one was a 3. That does nothing for the strategy. And then we had a 7 out. So we would take everything down. Okay, and that would pay out a quarter on the don't pass and then a quarter on the odds. So that was shooter number 1 from yesterday. And we actually made a couple dollars more off of that shooter than what we did with the strategy, the way we had it set up yesterday. Okay. Puck goes off. And now we're going to go to shooter number 2. Again, we started with a $25 don't pass. It rolled an 8. And then we would set it back up again, 10 on the 5, 18 on the 6, 18 on the 8, 10 on the 9. And we would put $25 on the come. And then since there was 8, what we're going to do is we're going to put $36 in odds for the don't pass. Okay, the second roll on shooter number 2 was a 7. So again, we would lose everything that's up here. And this is where it differs from the strategy from yesterday is we actually get paid out on the come now. So you get 25 on there, we get 25 on that don't pass, and then the odds will get paid out $30. So we're actually going to make a little bit more money this way. And this is the big difference with doing 2 come bets in the beginning of the roll or of that shooter. So we actually made an extra $25 or so. Okay, puck went off then, and then we went to shooter number 3. With shooter number 3, we started off with a $25 don't pass. We rolled a 4 on the come out. And then we set it up again with $10 on a 5, 18 on a 6. And we get some change here, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's $50. We went 18 on the 8 and then 10 on the 9. And let's pick up some pennies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so for shooter 3, we have a point of 4. The next roll, we are set up on there. We have $50 in odds. So $25 don't pass, $50 in odds, $25 combat, and we have 10, 10, and 18. The second roll on shooter number 3 was an 8. So what that's going to do is this comes going to travel up here. We're going to get paid out $21 on there again. And we are going to go with $36 on odds on that comeback again. So 15, 25, that's a quarter, 35, 36. And again, we get to rack $3 on that one. Okay, the next one was a 9. So with shooter number 3 with the 9, that pays out $14. And again, what we did is we would rack that because anything that's on the 5 or 9, until we get that $75 to $80 in the rack, we're just going to rack it up. And by the way, that was supposed to be a combat, so that would travel up there. We would also rack the $10 here. So now if we look at it, we have got $10 on a 5, we've got 18 on a 6, we have a combat with odds on the 8, and a combat on the 9. The only time we were going to put odds on the combats are when they land on the 6 or on the 8. Okay, continuing with shooter number 3. Our next shot was the 8. And that works out really nice with that, because with that, our combat gets paid $25 and our odds gets paid out $30. Okay, and what that's going to let us do now is that's going to let us bring this up to $90. So we could tower that right away up to $90. And then that will allow us to put $26 into our rack. And let's count this up. We got $45, $50, $53 in right now. So we still got to collect another 20 or so dollars, $20 to $30 before we can take those odds down. The next roll was a 10. That did nothing for us. And then the roll after that was a 7. So we would take everything down again. And we would get paid out $25 on the don't pass, $25 on the odds. So that shooter we actually made a little bit of money on. Okay. So again, putting that combat in makes a big difference in our strategy, and it's something that I should have done yesterday. Okay, we're on shooter number 4 now. We had a $25 don't pass bet out, and our first roll was a 7. So what would happen is we would lose that $25 comeback, and we would go right back up again on that don't pass with $25. Our next roll was a 12, and that is a that's a push or a bar on don't pass. The third roll on shooter number 4 was a 6, so that actually became our point. And again, we would put our money out here again. So we would go $10 on a 5, 18 on the 6, 18 on the 8. Let me pick up some more. I'm going to pick up $100 in nickels this time. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we, like I said, we've got 10 on the 5, 18 on the 6, 18 on the 8, 10 on that 9. Again, this is shooter number 4, and we're going to go with $25 in the don't come, and since our 6 is the point, we're going to go with $36 in odds. Okay, so we rolled a 6. The next one was a 6 again. So what happens is that point would go off, the puck would go off, we would travel the combat up, we would get paid out on here. So we get paid out $21. Okay, and we would lose the don't pass and the odds on that. Okay, so here's a little nice thing is that we actually have money to go back up again. So we're just gonna let's do this one. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a quarter. We'll put these odds on. So we're gonna go 36 in odds, rack to 3, and we're gonna go right back up again on that don't pass. Okay, and then we also would put another, oops, actually we have to do a come out first. So the next one that was rolled was a 10, so the point is 10 now. And we would go here with a $25 comeback, and we would also put $50 in odds out there. Okay, so everything's set up now. And that was our second comeback that's coming through. And then on shooter number 4, that last roll is a 7. So what would happen is, again, we would lose all this up here. Okay, but we would get paid out $25 on the comeback, get paid out $25 on that pass line. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry, the don't pass. That was the don't pass. And we would get paid out 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get paid out $25 on the odds. So basically, all we're going to lose is just this right here, which is $24. That's not that bad of a deal. Okay, the puck would go off. And then we're going to move on to shooter number 5. Again, $25 don't pass. And that would make it 8 was our first roll. So that would be our point. Again, we're going to place our money out there. 2, 3, 10, 18, and 10. And then we would also do a $25 come bet, and we'll do 36 in odds. Okay, so for shooter 5, we had a point of 8. Our next roll is an 8. So what happens is our puck comes off, our come bet would travel up, we would get paid out $21 on those odds there. I'm sorry, on the bet. And let's clean this up for a quarter. And we would put $36 in odds on there. Now, when we do our come out, remember that everything on the table is off except for that come bet. The odds is off, but the come bet is working because that is a contract bet. Again, that went off, so we lost our don't pass in our odds. We would go back up again with the don't pass. And our next roll was an 8 again. So we're right back up on that 8. So what happens is we do not get paid out on those odds, but we do get paid out on that come bet. Okay. And then what we'll do here is that was 1, 2. We have to go up again one more time with a come bet. I'm going to go back to $18 on that 8. And I know that there might be a different way to do that, but we're going to stick with that for now. And basically, so that way we can retain some of the money and we don't lose quite as much there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some more odds back up over there. So we're going to go with $36 in odds again. So basically what we're doing is we're racking a quarter off of that exchange. So we're back to $10 on the 5, 18 on the 6, 18 on the 8, and 10 on the 9. Our next roll was a 5. So that paid out $14. And we took the $10 off so that way our comeback could travel up. Again, on the 5 and the 9, we don't put any odds on that comeback. And that was our second comeback, I believe. So that way we're done with the comebacks now. Okay, and then our next roll was a 7. So we'll lose all this stuff up here. But we get paid out $25 on that don't pass. And we also get paid out $30 on the odds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this would all go back to the bank. Okay. So we'd put this in the rack. Okay. And then we went with shooter number 6. This was the longer one. We actually had 11 rolls on this one here. And what we did is, puck is off. The first roll was a 7. So we would lose that $25 don't pass and we would go right back up on it again. One of the biggest problems we had yesterday is I kept on hitting those don't pass points. And that's what hurt us a lot. But hopefully the way I set it up with this two come bets, that'll hopefully help that a little bit. So again, like I said, the first roll was a 7. We lost that don't pass. We went back up on a don't pass, and then we rolled a 9. So the point was 9. And we would set up again here. 10 on the 5, 18 on the 6, 18 on the 8, 10 on that 9. And then we would go with a $25 come bet. The next roll was a 4. So that did nothing other than move our come bet up to the 4. And then we would go out again with another come bet. Our next roll was a 6. So what would happen there is our come bet would travel up to the 6. This 18 here would get paid out $21. And again, we'll clean this up for a quarter here. And we would go with $36 in odds on there, and that would allow us to rack $3 from that roll. Okay, so that was our second come bet on there. The next roll was a 5. That paid out $14. And that $14 we would just put into our rack. The next one was an 8. So that would pay out $21 as well. And what we would do is we would take $3 of our rack now. We're going to make this look like $42. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So that is a quarter right there. Good. Okay. So what it looks like now is we have a $25 come bet, $10 on the 5. We have our come bet plus odds on the 6. We have 42 on the 8 and 10 on that 9. Our next roll was a 2. That did nothing for anything. Our next one was a 5. So again, we get paid out $14 on there. And we would just take that and put that in the rack until we got up to our $75 to $80. And our next one was a 9. So that was our point. We get paid out $14 on that. And by the way, we were supposed to have odds up there of $42. So I'm going to put that up there really quick. 35, 40, 42. So anyhow, like I said, we got paid out the 14, so we'll take that off and we'll put that in the rack. We would lose that $25 come bet and the odds. And what we'll do is we would go back up there again, $25 in the don't pass. Okay, our next roll was a 4. Okay, again, remember everything on here is off except for the 2 come bets. The come bet odds are off, but 2 come bets are working because they are contract bets. So since that point became the 4, we get paid out on that, and that'll clear that out right away. Okay, now if you look at our rack, we have $70-some in $80-some in our rack now. So we would not do any more don't pass odds on that. Okay, and then our next roll was a 7. So that was the final roll of what we did yesterday. So we would lose all this. And we would get paid out $25 on that don't pass over there. Okay, so let's rack everything up here. Let's count it out. And let's see what the difference is between putting the come bets on there and not putting the come bets on there. So again, like I said, yesterday we ended up at 238. Let's see what we got today. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 200. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so basically what we have is we have 200, 225, 235, 40, 45, 50. So 250. So basically we earned an extra 20 or so dollars by using those come bets. And you know, if the strategy would have rolled out slightly different, we potentially would have made a little bit more money because we would have had odds on some of the 6s and 8s, and we could have been able to tower those up. So the longer the rolls, obviously, the more money that you'll be making. So hey, if you guys like this video, I know this is an update to yesterday's video since I did mess the strategy up some. But if you do like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you consider subscribing to my channel. And make sure you leave some comments. So that way, if you have any ideas on how I can make this strategy better, I would be more than happy to take a look at it. My name is Joe, and this is my Craps Master journey. Let's make it yours too.